Welcome, everyone, as we come at you from the Hall of Fame city, Canton, Ohio. Secure your tickets, show up early, make it through security in the merchandise lines, grab those snacks and drinks, and then find your seat on the fifth side of the ring.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Drayven the Sledgehammer here with the Professor. And Professor, we had the privilege to speak with an absolute legend in the wrestling industry, WWE Hall of Famer Ricky Morton.
Yeah, absolutely. We had such a great time with Ricky.
We did.
We're extremely grateful that he gave us the time and was able to come on the show and talk with us. And he was goofy as hell too, which fits in with our personalities really
right.
well.
It makes the whole thing a lot more fun.
Yeah. Right at the end, he was having a little bit of trouble with with disconnecting, and he blew us a raspberry just for good measure. And one of the things he said right before we started recording, he's like, I'm going to jump around a little bit. I'm going to go from branch to branch. And fair warning, he does.
Yeah, he gave us fair warning on that and some slips of the tongue. So we're good with that. And he was a man of his word.
But he does answer most of the questions that you and Regina had for him.
Yes, I
we
believe
didn't even have to ask.
No, I think we asked maybe 3 or 4 of the questions. And I think total between Regina and I, we had 22 questions, and he answered all those. And by the time we got to the end, there was only one question left that I wanted to ask, and we were kind of out of time. He had to run. So it's unfortunate. I thought it was a good question, but maybe we'll save it next time we have him. We'll ask him that question.
Right. So, Sledgehammer, where can everybody check us out at?
All right, guys, we utilize Anchor, as always, to distribute to all the listening platforms. And now we are on YouTube, so you can check out our beautiful faces. Without further ado, let's get into it. Today, fifth side of the ring. This is Drayven the Sledgehammer. We got Thomas the Professor. We have got the legend himself, Ricky Morton. He is a 2017 WWE Hall of Famer. He is a 2006 NWA Hall of Famer. And the amount of tag team championships this guy has won, USWA, Smoky Mountain Championship Wrestling, SCW, Mid-South, Jim Crockett, NWA Mid-Atlantic, CWA, AWA. How many titles have you won, Ricky? At least 200, right?
I lost count a long time ago. Hey, okay. You know what? One that you left out, and this is a great honor. I wanted to say this and tell everybody. In May, Robert and I and Tommy Rich, and I think Tony Atlas, we're all going to be inducted to the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame out of Texas, Wichita Falls, Texas, I believe. Mm-hmm. And believe me, it's a great honor to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. But the Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, that's where all the boys put you in.
Yes, so, exactly.
Yeah, so I'm not saying it's one's better than the other one, but it's a great honor.
One sport entertainment, one is professional wrestling. There's
there's a
bit of a difference there. So yeah, absolutely. And
thanks for the great intro, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So you were known for the diving cross body, some signature moves. You had the drop kick, the roll up, which I mean is absolutely astonishing. And then one of my personal favorite moves of your guys's was always the double drop kick. I think you guys set that bar for all the tag teams going forward. You guys set that bar as far as the double drop kick. No one does it like you guys.
Well, guys, I appreciate that, but you got to understand, in the times that our era, when somebody had a finish, they never did it for a hot spot. You did it when you did your finish, the match was over. It was all over, but like my dad used to say, it's all over, but the crying and the dying and the flying and the head says, one, two, three. All right, cool. But that was great.
That is definitely one thing that I don't like about today's wrestling is that the finisher doesn't finish anything. It took just between John Moxley and Kenny Omega, how many paradigm shifts did
all the false
did
finishes,
Omega? Yeah, it's just
Well, you know what, guys?
Anything.
I gave my life to this business.
You did.
I have watched it change over the years, and understand me, when you're in my position, you have to go with the flow.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a big but right here that I'm fixing to say, or if. If is the biggest word in the world if you put it in the right sentence. But what I'm trying to say to you, even me nowadays, I still have a lot to do. I mean, I love to work with people and train people, because our business is gonna have to go back to that.
Yes.
I mean, it's only so many times you can shoot a fucker out of a cannon and he kicks out on one. Do you understand me?
Absolutely.
I watched a lot of the matches, and to me, what made me good, it wasn't a part about me. It's because I sewed, but when I sewed, I even tried to make the guys wrestling feel like I was hurt. So imagine if I made him ask me, what about the guy on the front row? But let's forget about the guy on the front row. Let's think about the guy that's up there in the balcony.
Mm-hmm.
What is he thinking what I'm doing? I told a fella the night, I said, listen, dude, I'm going to work with you tonight. And I do. I watch a lot of the independent mag. I go online because I go to work with somebody. I want to be familiar with them and what they do, and if I can trust them with my body. And the first thing I told him is I says, listen, I can sell one punch better than I can 47. Okay. Yeah. I can sell one kick better than I can 50 kicks. Because realistically in life, if a man kicks you 50 times, your ass is dead. I don't care who you are.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And this is what I like to offer back to some of the big businesses. Not only am I here on your show today, but I'm out here applying for a job for some big businesses because, dude, this is an art that is lost. And the guys, see, the biggest thing about our wrestlers today is they really don't understand what our business is about.
Right.
You have to understand it. And it don't take one guy to sell out arenas. It takes everybody working together to get to that point. And oh my God, it's all gone now.
Yes.
And in disrespect, and like you just said a while ago about your finishes. Well, hell, the match before you would do your finish for a high spot. You see, and that's so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I work a lot, and the guy asked me. He said, "Man, let's do the Canadian Destroyer tonight." I said, "Dude, they done seen it 25 times tonight.
Yeah.
Why should I do it? I tell you what, let's do something different. Let's lock up and grab a headlock. That's fucking different." Yep. Okay, I'm sorry. All right, go ahead, man.
No, you're good. Yeah, so like that is one thing. So anyone that's listened to our podcast, that is one thing that Thomas the Professor and I complain about is the lack of selling anymore. So anyone that's watching this interview that we're doing today with Ricky Morton, keep an eye on that. No matter what you're watching, no matter which program you're watching, keep an eye out for what he's talking about. The art of selling is gone. Whether it was Monday night, 2 nights ago, Monday Night Raw, or if it was last night on Impact, you can watch matches where you saw the lost art of selling just completely absent from the match. Someone taking a kick to the face and completely no selling it. If Ricky kicks me in the face, I'm on the floor and it's going to take me 30 seconds to recover. I'm not going to bounce right back up like it didn't even happen.
And there's a couple people that are really good at it, like the Namath brothers, Dolph Ziggler and Ryan Namath. Boy, they can get their ass kicked, and you believe every second of it.
Yes.
Well, see, that's the part of our business. Let me tell you something, guys, and you think about this. Back in the 80s, when Hulk Hogan was the biggest star in the world, and Terry wasn't, and I'm not knocking Terry. I like Terry. Terry's a friend of mine. I'm not knocking him, but he wasn't the greatest worker in the world.
Right. Yeah.
But one thing that he done was he sold.
Oh, yeah.
No matter
Yeah.
who you are, he sold, and at the end made that big comeback and dropped the
Yes.
big leg.
Yep.
And the roof come off the damn buildings every time he done it.
Yep.
It's so easy. A lot of guys think it's, because to me, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but what I'm trying to say is in the 80s, I never had a contract before.
Mhm.
Never did. But see, I think that's really what hurt our business a lot too. It was my time we got paid for how many asses are in the seats. But don't get me wrong, I love these guys making all this money that I didn't. No, but making all this money. But I think it got to a point where somebody's contract's bigger than theirs, and they're afraid to sell. They're afraid it might hurt them in this business.
Yeah.
But God, if you could find original babyface, this is what I'm trying to teach my son. I don't know if you met my son Kerry or not.
Yep, I've been talking with him here and there. He's a great young man.
He is gonna be great in our business, but he's like me. I grew up in the business. My dad was a wrestler, so he's a third generation.
Yep.
Third generation. That's for easy use. But it's to make it feel right instead of you watch TV and you can really tell if something's really big fixing to happen because there'll be 20 guys around the ring going to catch somebody, and that's the part they're giving away to everything. They're doing this, and doing that. And honestly, the marks are getting so smart. Excuse me before I say that. I don't mean it. You're getting so smart to our business. They're not capturing new audiences, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Used to be you catch new audiences every year or so, but now you stop and look. When I go to wrestling matches, everybody in there is over 40 years old. You hardly see any young people in there because you get tired of watching the trapeze act every damn match.
Yeah,
and the guy, sometimes it gets a little frustration, but the pen's mightier than the sword. You can't fight City Hall, bro.
Right. Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I go back and I watch stuff from the 80s and early 90s all the time. That for me is reminiscent of my childhood when I fell in love with pro wrestling. And then it's still today. I like a lot of what's going on, but when I want to enjoy professional wrestling, I always find myself going back to the 80s where you were one of the top stars. Like I made a list here of guys that were beloved in the 80s. So you brought up Hulkamania. So I'd say in the 80s, Hulkamania is top of the line. Right underneath here, I mean, you're right in here with these guys as far as being blowing the doors off the arena. You got Tommy Rich, Kerry Von Erich, Magnum TA, Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, the Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton, and Robert Gibson. I mean, those guys made the 80s of professional wrestling. And I'm sure you're great friends with many of these guys.
Yeah, man. And listen to me. You said one name in there that really, and I'm going to tell you this. This is, your opinion is like your ass. Everybody's got one.
Yeah.
But Ric Flair was the greatest world champion ever. And the reason I'm trying to say this right here is because Rick, as him being world champion, he always made sure, no matter what, that the people got their money's worth.
Oh, yeah.
I wrestled Rick to so many hour time limits, as Broadway, we want to say.
Yeah.
So many. But if I didn't, we still went 58 minutes.
Right. Yeah.
And Rick always did that. And Rick, he was that champion that had that great ring psychology. And I heard people, he does the same thing every now and then. Well, dude, when you wrestle our matches every night,
it's going to happen.
You have to, it's going to happen, and it's going to do that. For instance, I know I'm jumping to another limb here. But
Oh, you're good. You're good. You're the man of the hour.
Okay, I was wrestling a guy, and I'm going back before not long ago. The guy told me, he says, "Hey, when I go to the ring tonight, some of the people might cheer me." And I looked at him. I said, "They're going to cheer you because you want them to."
Yeah.
Okay. If you didn't want them to, they wouldn't. Now, now where I'm going with this is Rick and I were doing a lot of our time limits. And we were wrestling. I'll never forget this, the old Civic Center in Philly. We wrestled downtown there. And let me tell you guys, Philly was the biggest hill town you could ever imagine.
Oh, yeah.
It still is.
You know, them fuckers, they don't even like ice cream. You hear me? They hate everything.
Right.
If you're a baby face. You know, I was just there for not long ago, but now I'm going back. Sam Russ and Rick, we're going to do an hour time limit. So I go to the ring, and dude, you know, I've called everything but Ricky Morton.
Right.
You know, everything.
Yep.
Flair's music plays, and these people go crazy. Bye-bye, you know, and me, they're, "Morton, you suck. Morton, you suck." But listen to me, fellas. 10 minutes into the match, Ric Flair completely changed the whole crowd. Okay, 15 minutes in the match, the crowd pushed the guardrails all the way up against the ring.
Oh, wow.
I'm selling. Ricky hit me, and I'd take a bump and elbow somebody for they wouldn't, because they was coming through the ropes. You hear me? Then Arn Anderson was watching the match, and he's seen that. He worked his way down to the ring. And then here come Robert. And Rick told me, he said, "Listen, I'm going to have to throw you over the top rope and get disqualified, because if you don't, these people are going to fucking kill me." And they did it. And what I did is I told him, I said, "Give me a hell of a," he grabbed me and he threw me over the top, and I went out in the crowd where they had to catch me. And when you do that, everybody in the building looks at you. And when they looked at me, Flair was gone. You hear me? In that moment. But see, that's what I'm trying to say is nobody has that psychology to do that no more.
Right.
Nobody has been trained well enough to do that anymore.
Right.
And see, that's what little things about our business that nobody even has a damn clue what you're talking about.
Right.
When you tell them stuff like this.
Yeah.
Go ahead, fella.
And we had talked about the art of selling. Rick was one of those guys. So yeah, he had the psychology of wrestling. Nobody sold like that guy either.
Yes.
Well, I remember.
Yes.
Just a couple years ago on the way to WrestleMania, when Kofi Mania was huge, we had a pay-per-view. Fastlane was up in Cleveland, and I went. And boy, the crowd was completely against everything going on. We were totally on this Kofi kick because Kofi was being screwed. And so there was a triple threat for the WWE Championship between Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens, and Mustafa Ali. And for the first 5 minutes or so during the match, the crowd was untamable. We were chanting Kofi. They had no control. But after that, the match was just so good, we completely forgot about Kofi.
Yes, those guys are great. The ones you just talked about anyway. Kevin Owens, Daniel Bryan, they're phenomenal.
Yeah.
And that's what made them what they are. I mean, you look at Daniel Bryan. He's not that big of a guy, but Jesus Christ, look how over he was.
Yeah.
And because he knew how to get himself over to stay over. And you watch him, he sells too.
Yeah.
You know, it's great. I mean, but that's great, man. I really, that Cleveland, So y'all went to Cleveland?
Yep.
Is that what you're saying?
We're
That's
about
another
an
hill
hour
town.
and a half drive from Cleveland.
Yep.
Yes, that's another hill town.
Yep.
Cleveland.
Yep.
But go ahead, fellas.
Okay, so let's go ahead and start with some of the good questions for today. So,
All right.
Ricky, what can you tell us
Yes.
about your father, Paul, who was a referee? What territories did he work for? And what made you decide to be a wrestler and not a referee?
Well, first of all, I grew up in this business, and my dad. Hold on for a minute. Let me tell
You're
Vince I can't. Vince, I can't make Monday Night Raw. I'm sorry. Now, but what I'm saying, I grew up in the wrestling business, and our job was to go. My dad put the wrestling ring up. You know, my dad pulled the ring, then he refereed, and he wrestled before my time. And I'll tell you in a minute how he got the business. But this is what we did. And when we went to wrestling, you know, guys, there wasn't like 6 people on the whole wrestling card. You know, you had most of the time you had 2 baby faces and 2 heels, and they wrestled single matches. The first baby face and the heel, second baby face, and the heel. Then you had 2 girls was the semi-main event, and then the 2 baby faces, 2 heels come back in a 2 out of 3 a time limit match, tag match. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Our business was so different then because they didn't, you know, your top heel weighed 500 pounds. But the business is so different.
Yeah.
You didn't draw like you did. And later on because I know you're going to ask me about this, you know, about the business changing. But growing up like that, you know, me and my brothers wrestled in the ring, you know, after we put it up before, and my daddy would talk to me, which I traveled with my dad everywhere, you know, and, you know, my dad was best friend in the world, but he used to tell me things, and he told me, he says, Ricky, you know, things are going to change in this business. I can see it coming to the bigger things. It's getting more corporate. It's getting the ratings on TVs. You know, it's like in Memphis when we wrestled there. You know, you had a 2-hour show every Saturday morning, and they didn't know it was free. And you never even heard of that at that time at Channel 5 in Memphis. But doing that, going through, and I didn't, you know, but when I got into high school, I played sports. And by that time, my dad, he started to work for Jerry at Memphis, Jerry Lawler and him, and he didn't have to pull the ring no more, and he refereed. So, needless to say, he wanted me to ride to Memphis with him one night because I was off work and everything, and I'll be damned if I didn't go there. And Jerry Lawler was wrestling Joe LeDuc or somebody. Holy shit, there was 10,000 people there and going crazy. Sorry.
No, you're good. Vince won't take no for an answer.
No, I just cut it off. And I couldn't believe this. And this is what my daddy was telling me. So this is the reason I wanted to bring you here tonight. This business is changing. And yeah, you got to think about outside that black box and what you're doing and doing this. But now I'm going to jump to another limb. My dad was in the Marine Corps. He was a drill instructor, Marine Corps. Okay. You know what kind of life I lived? Sir, yes, sir. Sir, get your foot out my ass, sir. No, he's a great man, real good man, real smart. Without having the greatest education in the world, man, he was smart son of a gun. But he was in San Diego, and him and a bunch of his buddies in the Marine Corps went to the wrestling there, somewhere out there, San Diego. And he told me, said, I'm just like every other Mark. I got so involved in the match that I hit the ring. He went through the ropes in the ring. Well, just so happened, if they was kayfabe, there was somebody that was supposed to hit the ring that night. So when my dad went in the ring, he said, I went to hit the heel and I missed him by a foot. He took a bump over the top rope out into the floor. Well, by this time, you got all them people there. My dad hit the ring, so after the matches, they got him in the back, going cussing at him and shit. And he says, well, you got to come back here next week. So they broke my dad. That's how my dad broke into the business that way. It's wild. I mean, but it's crazy, but it's wild. But that's how it all started years ago. Now, in my career, my dad, when I did start, because the reason I went, I was a foreman at a bookbindery, and we went on strike. And just so happened, I went with my dad this time to Evansville, Indiana. And I always remember, when you're in business, you always take your bag with you.
Yep.
I hadn't had a match in a long time. I had my first match when I was 16 years old, but that's a whole different other thing. But here I am, I'm 19 years old. I just take my wrestling bag with me. And just so happened, somebody's car broke down and they wasn't there. And this kid named Kid Wayne that wrestled in Memphis, the Nightmares, him and Danny Davis was the Nightmares before. This is before then, though.
Okay.
He's a hell of a worker too. But so Jerry Jarrett, my dad told us, man, my son's got it. Won't you let him wrestle? And Jerry's kind of late because our business buddy was strictly, it's kayfabe, nobody. At that time, and please believe me when I tell you this, even the NWA days, we didn't even get our finishes till we got in the ring. You never talked a match over. Right. I mean, the heels and baby faces were never together.
Right. Yeah.
You did everything in the ring. And it's jumping back to another limb. You're like an NWA. Me and Flair, us and the Midnight Express. Our business was so sacred. It's so kayfabed that you didn't get to finish till you got in the ring. Tommy, and you didn't go, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. They just say, you're over, you're under. That's all.
Yeah.
That's all you said.
Yeah, you got to the ring.
Broadway.
You go out and you write the story.
Okay, but we knew how to tell the stories of them. Yes, and you did that. That's the way the world learned.
Yes.
But I got there, and Jerry Jarrett told me he says, all right, my dad talked him into letting me work. And I guess he told my dad, he said, if the match sucks, take it home. And he said, if it's doing good, they go 15-minute time limit. You see what I'm saying?
Yep.
In case if I suck, he told my dad to take it home. But me and Ken Wayne went out there, dude, and we just clicked. Our chemistry clicked in the ring. Here I am, 19 years old. Bam, here I go. And when I come back through the door, Jerry Jarrett told me, he says, when I walked through the door, he come over and shook my hand. He says, I would love for you to start my territory this Saturday on Memphis TV. And then I went there, and my first day there, he teamed me up with Bill Superstar Dundee. That's a hell of a thing, but that was Elvis Presley in professional wrestling.
Yeah.
And then, but that's the way it is. And my dad, he refereed for years. But another thing is different in the younger days. My dad refereed. He had called the match for most of the guys in the ring because they didn't really know. And it's when my dad would be refereeing, all right, we'll give him a tackle, drop down, hip toss, great shit.
Yeah.
And that's how a lot of guys learn. But that was most of the, but my dad, he wrestled like in them days. You had the outlaw independent wrestling. You didn't have big promotions and stuff like that. God, they go to wrestle and beat the fuck out of each other, man. Jesus Christ. But
yeah, so
that's the way all that started.
So you brought up Jerry Jarrett. So you and Robert were actually put together under Jerry Jarrett and Jerry Lawler, correct, in Memphis?
Jerry Lawler put us together. Now, Look good. I love telling stories. This is a long story, guys.
Okay, good.
My dad told me about tag team wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
He says, man, it's going to be, and if you noticed in my earlier career, I teamed up with a lot of guys.
Yeah.
First of all, I teamed up with a fella named, and I hope that you heard of him, Sonny King.
Yep.
Sonny King was a big wrestling star in Memphis. You know what? And I said he called me yesterday for, and unbelievable that we're talking about this. But he said tag team wrestling is going to be the future of this business because it's going to be something new. So I put myself, me and Sonny King, and I learned so much from Sonny, especially at Memphis, working there. Then me and Eddie Gilbert teamed up. I mean, he went out to Oklahoma because, to tell you the truth, Eddie wasn't old enough to get wrestling license in a lot of the states. And when we were out in Oklahoma for Leroy McGurk, they didn't have no athletic commissions and stuff at that time. God, nowadays in Oklahoma, you got to do everything, dude. I mean, HIV test, hepatitis test. You got to do all this stuff. Cost you more to wrestle one night, you make a month. But to go on, and then I came back, and I had a lot of people in my lifetime. You were the greatest babyface I ever seen. No. A guy by the name of Ken Lucas was the greatest babyface ever in this business. And me and Ken teamed up, and we left, and we went to San Antonio, Texas, Southwest Championship Wrestling. The first time it went on USA TV, cable TV, man, I'm telling you. And we went there, and we working with, it's Joe Blanchard, Tully Blanchard's dad. It's when I first met Tully.
Okay.
Him and Gino Hernandez.
Mm-hmm.
Me and Kitty did a angle with them. And guys, and this is hard to believe sometimes, but San Antonio, they had a guy named Scott Casey there.
Yep.
Scott was the All-American cowboy.
Yep.
He was the Marlboro man that didn't smoke. You hear me?
Yep.
The body on him. And this guy was over, son of a gun. Now jumping back to another limb. And we go back to here about Memphis, me and Robert. But when I really, really smartened up to this business was Scott Casey. And they just brought Killer Carl Cox was coming in. Do you remember Killer Carl Cox, guys?
Yep.
If you don't, please go to look him up and watch for him. And they got Killer Carl Cox coming in. Here I am, a kid. I'm 21 at 22 years old. And Killer Carl Cox is coming. Him and Scott Casey are wrestling in the main event. And those days, guys, I mean, Scott Casey was over and me and Luke was over. Tully and Gino had more heat in the Iowa stove. Jesus Christ. I mean, it was unbelievable. We did good business. We're in the Hemisphere Arena. And, Hemisphere Arena is where the San Antonio Spurs used to play basketball years ago. And when you draw 15 and 16,000 people in a building like that in 1981, and that's unbelievable.
Right.
But they didn't have music then. But Scott Casey and Killer Carl Cox. And this is what I'm trying to tell you guys. This is really what made me understand our business, that it was more to it than grabbing a headlock or doing a headlock routine or doing this. Now, Scott Casey went to the ring and they're waiting for Killer Carl Cox. I know Killer Carl Cox come to the ring. But I got dressed because I wanted to watch this. And I'm sitting up there in the big old building and I'm watching this. And I'm thinking to myself, where the hell's Killer at? Boy, he's going to get in trouble.
Right.
Damn, he's going to get in trouble. Boy, Joe Blanchard's going to be madder than hell. I'm thinking this to myself.
Yeah.
The referee gets out of the ring, goes all the way to the back. He comes back in. I'm sorry.
You're okay. You're
Hold
okay.
on for a minute. Hold on. Kerry James, come and get Doug.
All right, guys.
Okay, that's my dog, Doug. And he, let's wait. Take them outside, buddy. They want to go outside. Okay. So now I'm sitting there watching this. So the referee jumps out and he goes all the way back to the dressing room. All of a sudden he comes back to the ring. And I'm thinking to myself, Jesus, what is happening here? And all of a sudden the two doors fly open. Here comes Killer Carl Cox running to the ring. And he's got about 15-foot strand of toilet paper hanging out of his tights. You hear me? And I ain't never seen nothing like this. And boy, he gets to the ring and everybody's laughing and he's turning around. Look what they're laughing at. But the toilet paper keeps going this way. Can't see it. Finally, the referee pulls it out of his tights. Okay.
Yeah.
He gets embarrassed. He jumps out of the ring, runs back to the dressing room. Okay. I'm watching this. Then here he comes back and he's doing this to the ring like he's embarrassed. Right? And I'm watching this. And that, if y'all knew Killer Carl Cox, he had a make-believe fellow that was with him, Alex. You know, he always talked to Alex up here. Yep. And recently he talked to him up here. How you got that gimmick, the old Funk Arena at the fairgrounds in Amarillo, Texas. Mm-hmm. He was sitting there and he looked up and he seen Alex Perez was an old wrestler there. And his name was written on the ceiling. It's Alex. And he pointed up when Alex. That's how he come up with that gimmick.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yes. So, he told me all this later on. Now he gets in the ring and these people are laughing and I'm watching this. Hell, 10 minutes has went by. They ain't even locked up yet. And these people are losing their mind. So now Alex goes to lock up with Casey, but he stops. He has to talk to Alex upstairs. Him and Alex are talking. Papa gives him the okay sign. They lock up and Casey arm drags. He jumps up to his feet. He's going, all right. Then he talks to him again. He does the same thing. They lock up. Casey arm drags him and slams him. I went, holy shit, the people are losing their mind. And he's jumping up, talking out, what the hell is that? And then, okay, yes. He's doing his shit, yes.
Yeah.
Like, they lock up, Casey arm drags him, slams him, then hip tosses him, and Killer Carl Cox jumps up and starts going to Alex up there. Now listen, guys, I'm watching this. And it blew my fucking mind. I said, God, it's a lot more to this business than I know.
Yeah.
That I ever even realized, ever dreamed about, was watching that. And then I got to know Killer. And I got to know some of the great wrestlers, in Texas. Now, let's jump back on that other limb over here. Okay. Back to Memphis. The Fabulous Ones. Remember them? Stan Lane, yep. Steve Kern?
Yep.
Okay, now there's a guy named Jackie Fargo. That was the most overest son of a bitch you ever seen in your life in Tennessee, Memphis, Kentucky. The Memphis territory was Jackie Fargo. The fabulous Jackie Fargo. Well, Jerry Jarrett come up with a big idea to put the Fabulous Ones, run videos on them. You hear me? And it worked. These two guys were over. But now, this is why I didn't like territories. Now we're going to jump back over to this limb again. Because the territories, either your top baby face was the owner of the territory, or your booker. If you wasn't friends with him, you were fucked, and you still wasn't going to get over because he's going to push himself. And now it's not being mad. I'm just telling you the truth. Right. But later on in this conversation, let's go back. And then I realized why some of the bookers pushed their own self. But now Jerry Lawler and the Fabulous Ones, the Lawler was standing in the way of the Fabulous Ones and Stan Lane, and Steve Kern and them were trying to buck him. So they got Jerry Lawler and Jerry Jarrett to fight. So Jerry Lawler was going to go opposition of Jerry Jarrett in Memphis.
Mhm.
It was going to do this. So Jerry Lawler come all the way to San Antonio, Texas, well, which he was booked on the show, but he got booked on him and Tully. No, it was him and Nick Bockwinkel. Him and Nick Bockwinkel were wrestling there that night. And Jerry comes in. I was partners with Ken Lucas. And he told me the whole thing. He says, told me this. He says, he's going to go opposition. He says, he said, I've been thinking. He says, you've been tag team wrestler, and Robert Pepps has been with his brother all these years.
Mhm.
He said, I like to team y'all up and give y'all a gimmick to come to Memphis. And I said, well, hell yeah. And the reason why is I'm going home.
Yeah.
I'm going home with my daddy and them, and to make this right here. So I got there, and Robert being with his brother, then I knew Robert and his brother real good even before all this right here. And me and Kenny was wanting to go back to Pensacola, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to Memphis, and him and Jerry Jarrett made up. Okay. They're not going opposition.
Uh-huh.
So Robert and I, needless to say, the Fabulous Ones was Jerry Jarrett's team.
Mm-hmm.
We were Lawler's team. So we're the ones that had to play second fiddle to the Fabulous Ones.
Yep.
But in our business, it's being at the right place at the right time. Boy, I'm jumping limbs like a son of a bitch here. But and when we got there, and this is great too,
mm-hmm.
they didn't have a name for us. And Jimmy Hart was back there, B. Lawler, Jimmy Hart, and they're thinking of a name, R&R, Ricky and Robert,
Mm-hmm.
the Rolls Royce symbol. And then, let's see. And Jimmy Hart goes, how about the Rock and Roll Express? And Jerry Lawler looked at him and says, Jimmy, that's the worst name I ever heard in my life, but we got to have one, so we're going to use it. And Lawler told me not long ago, he said, boy, I wish I'd have patented y'all's name. He said, I'd have made him a lot of money off y'all.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the way that happened. We went to a flea market, bought rock and roll books, and started making outfits and stuff like off of that. But our business has been at the right place at the right time, and knowing. Listen to me, young guys out there in the business. Being at the right place at the right time, but when somebody asks you to do something, you know how to do it.
Yeah.
With saying, You've been in the ring with a guy you call headlock. You go, I go, oh, shit. Who am I in the ring with? I don't know if you get that or not.
Yeah.
But that's when V. McMahon was starting to run in everybody's territories.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit. Oh, man, they went fucking crazy. So they got to run a big show in Memphis. All the territories will get together, and they're going to go against Vince.
Uh-huh.
Well, Vince didn't give a fuck what none of them did. You understand me?
Yeah.
Because when you got together like that, there was way too many chiefs and not enough Indians.
Yep.
So they had their big show in Memphis that night, and every promoter in the world, I'm talking, I don't know if Crockett was there or not, but he had to be, but I don't remember. But I remember Eddie Graham.
Mm-hmm.
He was there, Bill Watts, and Vern Gagne, and all them. They were all there. And me and Robert went out and worked with the Nightmare, and we put them over because we wasn't the top team. The Fabulous Ones were, right? So the Fabulous Ones went out and worked with somebody, and after the show, they told everybody to stick around. They're having a big meeting, and they're in there talking, and Eddie Graham. I never know Graham, didn't know who he even was at the time.
Mm-hmm.
He stood up and he goes, listen, we're all promoters here. We're all get together. And he says, I'm all about making money. And I'm all about people working that know what our business is doing.
Mm-hmm.
He said, see these two boys right here? He pointed at me and Robert. See that blonde-headed one? He sewed for 20 minutes and never buried his partner. He says, that's the tag team we need to push, not these over here talking about Stan Lane, Steve Kern. That's the ones you want. Wow.
Yeah.
So at this time and moment, now jumping back to the other ring about territories that I didn't like them.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what really, everything that my daddy told me through all these years, it came true.
Mm-hmm.
He said, tag team wrestling's fixing to pop. Now, Bill Watts was in there, and Bill Watts is getting ready to retire.
Mm-hmm.
And he wanted a booker that did not wrestle where you wouldn't push yourself.
Yep.
So he hired Bill Dundee as his booker. So Bill made a deal with Jerry Jarrett for me and Robert to go to Louisiana for 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And Bill's already taken the Midnight Express with him.
Mm-hmm.
So the Midnight Express is already in Louisiana, and they're beating everybody. Johnny Walker, Magnum TA, they were partners then, and blah, blah. And at that same time, they were building up Nikolai Volkov and Barry Dorso, the Russians.
Yep.
Same thing we did in NWA, but just a different page.
Yep.
But understand this, and this is what really blew my mind. When we got to Louisiana, Abdullah the Butcher was the top babyface. Now you see what a difference is.
Yeah.
In what we're doing, and the reason he was babyface, and this is the reason I didn't like territories. And don't get me wrong, Bill Watts owned it. So Bill Watts has just finished his angle with Abdullah, where he beat him.
Mm-hmm.
But he had to turn Abdullah babyface for Abdullah can beat the new heel. When the new heel can beat Abdullah,
Mm-hmm.
and they're building him for him to wrestle Bill Watts. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yep. Okay.
All of a sudden, they shot videos of me and Robert and sent them to Louisiana, and they never seen a tag team like we're young guys.
Yeah.
See, usually in the business back then, you didn't get a push until your booker was your friend. That's why they were 40 and 50 years old and still wrestling.
Right. Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't get a break till you were 35 and 40 years old.
Yeah,
right.
And I'm serious at this. So we get there and we shoot an angle with the Russians, and all of a sudden, man, they showed videos of us for 2 or 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And you had a bicycle tape that went around different, this town, then this town, do you understand what I mean by a bicycle tape?
Yeah.
It didn't show in the same town all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, and Bill Dundee was smart, and we go in and on TV, and we beat Crusher Crew, which is Barry Dorso and Nikolai
Crusher
Volkov.
Khrushchev.
And then they beat us up, and we shot a little angle.
Uh-huh.
Greatest thing in the world, dude, because you see now, guys, earlier,
Mm-hmm.
I told you our business is being at the right place at the right time. Robert and I were at the right place at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
And when you take a territory now, guys, I want you to stop and think about this. We were over so much that when they brought the Road Warriors in for a show,
Uh-huh.
to get Robert and I wrestling the Road Warriors in the Superdome.
Mm-hmm.
It's 1981. We drew 40,000 people.
That is crazy. That is
Do
crazy.
you understand me? 40,000 people. Closed circuit TV. They cut the Superdome. I've never been in the Superdome. I don't know how they do it, but they hung curtains for one half of it.
Yeah.
Been in a lot of places to see that. It holds 80,000 people, I think, Superdome.
Mm-hmm.
But we got this whole side in the floor. And I know it was, the people were so damn loud, you couldn't even hear.
Mm-hmm.
God, it was echoing off that son of a bitch, man. And that was good. And that's how we built that territory. And when Ric Flair was there wrestling Kerry Von Erich.
Mm-hmm.
And to get back to what you were talking about, guys over in this business,
Yeah.
Magnum TA,
Yep.
Kerry Von Erich, it was great. See, now you got a whole card of a lot of shit. I'm not saying that Robert and I drew the 40,000 people. We had a hell of a card there.
Yeah.
It takes everybody, because even then you're underneath guys.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for them, your top baby faces, the top heels wouldn't be over.
Right.
Okay, that's what we did, and that's how things worked. That's when Joe and Mike, the Road Warriors, Hawk and Adam.
Yep.
I didn't know them. Oh, you heard how stiff they are and how they do this and how they do that.
Yeah, I've heard how stiff they are.
I was fixing to wrestle them in our territory. There's 40,000 people, so I have to be prepared, ass whooping,
Mm-hmm.
because I had to show them it's just a part. And holy shit, I got in the ring, and then I'm looking. I'd never seen them. Didn't get to finish till we got to the ring.
Yeah.
We beat them with the double drop kick. They put us right in the middle of the ring.
Wow.
I guess Bill Watts paid the piss out of them. You hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say here now is, God Almighty, I get in that ring and they're too jacked up. Are they talking like this? And
Yeah.
Joe pushes me on I take a big bump for him. I take a big bump. Then he stops me and he goes, duck the clothesline, hit me with the drop kick, and hit Hawk with the drop kick. So bam, I ducked the clothesline. I hit him with the drop kick. He went over the top rope. I hit Hawk with the drop kick. He went over the other top rope. And I'm standing in the ring doing my thing, Ricky Morton thing. This 40,000 people losing their goddamn mind. But I'm thinking to myself, Ricky Morton, you're a stupid son of a bitch. These boys, they know how to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, just other people have been messed with them. They didn't understand. But Hawk and they were business.
Yeah. They were all business.
And that was so cool.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is the thing, about Lawler putting us together, but it wasn't Memphis that worked for us.
Mm-hmm.
It was other territories, which I didn't like. That's why I never went to different territories,
Mm-hmm.
because it was all about the top baby face that owned it. Look at the Continental. It was all about Ron Robert Fuller. Wasn't about you.
Right.
You was a heel. You got to come in and have a good run with them, but at the end of it, they beat you.
Yep.
That was what it's all about.
Yeah.
And that was it. So Lord behold, man. And then I met Dusty Rhodes.
Yep.
See, Dusty was a booker. But boy, did I get the best education of my life when I met Dusty. When Louisiana, this is another Superdome show, Muhammad Ali was there that night. And this is the greatest thing in the world. You know what? And all the people I've met in my life, Muhammad Ali was the greatest man I ever met in my life.
Oh, yeah. Hands down. Yeah, that's...
Yeah, but just the way he carried himself and who he was.
Yeah.
I'm in the dressing room in the Superdome, and my oldest son, that's 39, 40 years old. I say 39. He's just a little kid. And he's in the floor playing with cars.
Yeah.
And Muhammad Ali comes in the door. Everybody went to what he walked right by them all and sat on the floor and started playing cards with my little boy. Asked me everything about him. Yes, man. Yeah. And asked me everything about him. And then Bill Watts comes over, says, he's sitting in the floor, Bill Watts. Hey, I'm Bill Watts, the promoter. He goes, oh, you're the one stealing all the money from these guys, huh?
Yeah.
I fell out of my chair. I was laughing so hard. But to say this to you now, and where I'm going to just jump to the slim.
Mm-hmm.
Muhammad Ali gets that in his entourage. He goes with him somewhere else. And I'm just sitting there with my little boy, and this man gets up in the corner that been sitting there all night. I've been wondering who the hell he was.
Yeah.
He walks over to me, sticks his hand out. He says, "Hello, I am Jimmy Crockett." He says, "I run the North Carolina territory." And I said, "Well, Jimmy, I come to work for you before, but you didn't know me."
Yeah.
And I didn't ever see him either. I was there for Dory Funk Jr. was the booker at that time, and I just went in for a week to get some guys over.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes, "Well, listen, I'm taking over TBS. We're going nationwide." He says, "All I've heard from Ric Flair is how great you are."
Mm-hmm.
I went, "Holy shit, I didn't know he's even watching."
Right.
So Ric Flair said, "You're one of the greatest baby faces he's ever seen."
Yep.
This is before I did anything with Rick. Really didn't know Rick. I partied with him a few times.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "I'd like you to come to North Carolina." And me and Robert talked about it. And, that's great. Time that Robert and I were in Louisiana,
Mm-hmm.
we were attendance record. We blew Elvis Presley out of the water. I'm serious.
That's a hell of an accomplishment.
Attendance records.
That's a hell of an accomplishment.
Right. Yeah, and it's really mind blowing.
Yeah.
But wait until we go to NWA. Okay.
Right.
Now here we are. This is the same thing, guys. Now I'm going back. So Robert and I gave our notice, and when we go to lose it, and Dusty Rhodes is a booker.
Mm-hmm.
I never even knew Dusty. I seen him a couple of times throughout my career before that. So I come in to Charlotte. So we had to give a 2-week notice in Louisiana. So I flew into Charlotte on a Monday, but we had a wrestle on a Tuesday. I'm flying back to Louisiana on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to the office, and Dusty, the reason I go down to the office, Dusty wanted me to meet him there. That's why they flew me in today.
Mm-hmm.
So I go in, and Dusty's sitting there. He goes, "All right, baby, this is the way I'm on the, as long as you could carry the ball, Dusty Rhodes would be behind you." We had a long talk.
Yeah.
Okay, we jump back to this limb. The reason a lot of promoters push themselves, bookers push their own self, is because they had ideas in their head that they want to do, but there wasn't the guys really understood our business could do what he was thinking in his head.
Yeah.
And this is where I got my education at, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And Dusty told me this, we get into this in a minute. So I understood what he wanted with the Russians. Now, at that time, you had Ivan, Nikita, and Barry Dorsey, Crusher Khrushchev. They did this. Dusty did the same thing. He pushed these guys, the Russians. At that time, it's everybody's smart. That's when the United States hated Russia, and Russia hated us.
Yep.
It's just a natural born thing, and it's the same thing. These two young baby faces, they never got a big push like that. They have showed our videos. We come in. Robert, and the next night we wrestled them in Shelby, North Carolina. It's where they do TV. It's in the middle of summer, July the 8th or 9th. It's 100 degrees outside, and we're in that building. Showing the videos of holy shit. Even though the building is jam-packed, there was more people outside.
Wow.
That was inside trying to ticket. And Dusty talking, boy, and that's TV.
Yeah.
Now at TV, you do 2 shows. and they have the things on the wall, but nobody knows nothing. Okay, you had the first TV, but on the second TV, it had matches. And me and Robert was the main event against the Russians for TV, but we was the first match. Okay, so none of the boys understood, but I knew because me and Robert we were going the whole time limit of the TV show, an hour.
Yeah,
you understand?
Yep.
But I didn't even realize that until right before we get to the ring. I'm looking at this thing here and I'm going, and Dusty come over this and listen, they do the whole hour. Go home at the 59-minute mark on TV. Y'all will go through commercials. Y'all would go through everything. Damn, that's the first time I ever did that. And Dusty let me come up. You know, when I come up behind Ivan and did the victory row.
Yep.
That was the victory row. If that would have fucked up, I don't think we would have got over like we did. There was a victory row that was heard around the world.
Yes. Yeah. I actually watched
got to
that.
know Ivan.
Well, once
Jesus
we started.
Christ,
once we started talking about doing the interview with you, that was actually one of the matches that I watched in preparation for this interview today. And that was an amazing finish.
Yes. Okay, now that match was seen around the world, not just in the United States. That was around the world.
Yes.
Holy shit. And we won the belts that night. The place went absolutely nuts. Now it's on a bicycle tape. It was show in Charlotte that Saturday, but it won't show to Richmond and Norfolk and, but it's on TBS. They're going to show it on TBS the following Saturday when everybody can see it. See, because there were different TVs. There was Mid-Atlantic TV, and then there was TBS.
Yeah.
But they all was on bicycle tapes. And the blow off is, it's hard to explain what I'm trying to say to you, but you still had your territory things. And then Robert and I, we came back in, and our first night in was Fayetteville, North Carolina. Fayetteville, North Carolina. And that was our first night debut in the territory. And it usually draws, 1,200, 1,500 people. Dude, we got there on that Monday. I get out of the car. There's people everywhere. And a woman with a microphone runs up to me, the news. She goes, "Tell me about you. What are you doing?" I says, "Madam, I'm wrestling here now." She said, "No, you don't understand. People have been camped out here for a week getting tickets for y'all to wrestle."
Wow.
And oh, holy shit. And everything my dad told me came true.
Yeah. That's got to be one of those holy shit moments.
And don't get me wrong. Yes. And it was the victory row that was heard around the world. And I got to hand it off to Dusty, and don't get me wrong. I'm not here. Me and Dusty had a lot of fucking fights. You hear me?
Yeah.
We did. And so I don't want you to guys, but I respected him and he was smart. And you know what? And Terry Reynolds' daughter, Dustin Rhodes, Dustin Rhodes and Terry Reynolds, I was talking to her a lot long ago and she told me, she says, "There's one, I want to tell you this." I said, "What's that?" She says, "When I started getting into wrestling really big and my papa was Dusty Rhodes, I asked him who was the greatest baby face in the world. And he goes, 'Well, baby, Dusty Rhodes is.' He said, 'But running in a tight second,' she said, 'Ricky Morton was the best baby face ever because he understood what I wanted.'"
Yes.
What other people didn't. And see, now let's jump back to the limb. Understanding what he's wanting is selling.
Yes.
And telling a story about it.
Yes.
9-time World Tag Team Champions. I never wanted to be a champion. Do you know why? Because the
Why?
people pay to see me win. They don't pay to see me lose.
Right.
But every week the heel screws me. And then
Right.
you come back with a different match every week. And that's how you draw money in our damn business.
Yeah.
Learning to sell. And guys, trust in me. Let's jump. It's coming back to that.
Right.
It has to.
It will. Yeah.
They're going to have to do something. They're going to have to, Vince is going to have to do something to go into a big personal angle somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I have the greatest idea in the world for it. But that's to the end. And then, hey, my wife just walked in. Hi, baby. She, I told her what you said.
Uh-huh.
You hear me?
Yeah.
I was talking to you. I told her what you said.
Oh, you did?
And he said he didn't recognize you since your ass got so big. Okay. Have a good time, man. All right.
Yeah,
man.
absolutely.
I don't know what that, I mean, we went through a long career of the Rock and Roll Express going from limb to limb.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
Man, was that cool.
Yeah.
But it's experiences that people never even knew about.
Right.
Literally, Robert and I were rock stars.
Yeah, you guys were
And I could tell you stories. Dude, that if I told you one, you would tell me bullshit. That didn't
Right.
happen. But not only did it happen, but that was just one night.
Right. Yeah.
That was just one night.
Right. And that's exactly it. Like that list I gave you to start off, like some of these guys, like you guys were the 80s. You guys were the rock stars of professional wrestling, hands down.
And being, and see, a lot of times, I'll tell you a few things that people don't know and that I do know. When I did the angle with Ric Flair, and I see, because you have a lot of smart marks on the internet. Oh, the reason he did that is because Robert got hurt. No, it wasn't because he got hurt. Magnum PA had a car wreck.
Yeah.
They were grooming Magnum to be the world heavyweight champion. I don't know if you know that or not. He was. They were grooming him. And all of a sudden, they're getting ready to do this big angle.
Yeah.
And Magnum has a car wreck, paralyzed. I was, and Rick, he knew me.
Yeah.
And he went to Dusty. He said, man, I want to do this angle with Ricky Morton. And getting there. Now, when Robert was hurt, is after all this bullshit, and they done turned wrestling corporate WCW, I stood up. See, one thing about me, I always stood up for the boys. And I always respected myself because I never screwed one of the boys, not one time.
Right.
And I'm telling you this, and you can ask Ric Flair this. They wanted to put the world heavyweight title on me, but if they did, they were going to get rid of Robert. I told them no. I turned it down.
Wow.
And that's a fact. And you can ask Ric Flair that.
Wow.
And that's, if you read Ric Flair's book, he'll tell you how I stood up for Robert and all that. Now, I joined the York Foundation. I turned heel. I didn't turn heel because that's when Robert did get hurt.
Yeah.
All right. And he's out for 6 months to a year. Okay. When he was, they wanted, the corporate business wanted to team me and Brad Armstrong up to be the new Rock and Roll Express. I told them no.
Yeah.
So that's where they turned me heel with the York Foundation.
Yeah.
And the reason I did that is because I had a job, because I never had a contract.
Yeah.
Everybody else did. I wouldn't try to talk to them, I tried to talk to Eric Bischoff about, I want a contract, but I don't want to wrestle on top. But he wouldn't listen to him. He's what he thought. Wouldn't even talk to me. Hell, I will put the fucking ring up. Just give me a job.
Right.
Because this is all but no, they wouldn't do that. So needless to say, when Robert came back at the York Foundation, I wrestled him in Washington, D.C. I was in a single match. We had our match. I beat Robert because that was what was going on. Because they were going to get rid of him.
Mm-hmm.
And me and him left and went to Smoky Mountain. Okay.
So you
for
bring
Jimmy Cornette.
Yeah, so you bring this up, and this is actually one of my questions that I do want to be able to ask you today, and that is the pop. Whether you were there, or for me, it's mostly been what I've seen on TV and in YouTube videos. Is that pop you guys had? Like you said, yeah, you guys were rock stars. There was Hulkamania, there was Rock and Roll Express right underneath it. So how do you go from being a top baby face like that, where you are adored like a rock star? How do you mentally prepare to become a heel like that, almost at like the drop of a dime? Like, you go from being a rock star to now you've got to be a completely different persona.
Well, see, buddy, and this is what I was trying to say to you earlier about I stood up for the boys. I didn't turn my back on none of them, but the ones that turned their back on me were all the boys. You see what I'm saying? Except it was hard because every chance they got. See, buddy, when you understand this business and when you work, see, they try to kill you off.
Uh-huh.
But if you know what you're doing, they can never kill you off.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I laughed at them a lot of times.
Yeah.
I'd go to the ring and put Brian Pillman over, and I'd be the heel, and I'd be over better than Brian Pillman would, because I knew what I was doing. They didn't.
Yeah.
And even when Robert and I, we left and went to Smoky Mountain with Jimmy Cornette, you know, dude, that's the reason Smoky Mountain was so successful.
Yeah.
For the first couple of years, is because the people still remembered. Matter of fact, I still live here in the Smoky Mountain area.
Nice.
I stayed up here in these mountains, bro. But it's the greatest experience. And yeah, it's hard to accept, but it's not hard to accept. It's how the people that were in charge that didn't know whether to wind their ass or scratch or watch.
Yeah.
You know, and here I'm trying, because I'm thinking, it's like they brought Jim Herd in the first one. You know, he was the pizza guy out of St. Louis.
Yeah, Pizza
to
Hut,
run professional wrestling. And it always got me, what the hell were they doing? But then I figured out they didn't want a professional or anybody that knew anything about professional wrestling, because they wanted to turn it corporate.
Yeah.
And Jim Herd was a corporate guy. I mean, look at this great decision he made. His first thing he did was he put a tag team together, the Ding Dongs from Bellsville. What the fuck? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He called me in the office one time because I wrestled. You know, I like this. Jim Herd wants to talk to you. I was like, oh God, man, he might see me want to do this. And so I go to his office and he looks at me and goes, I want to know why you did the Frankensteiner on TV. And I said, I got to thinking, a Frankensteiner. And I did, what it was is that is Hurricane Corona, but at that time we called it a front head scissors.
Yeah.
I said, I invented it. That's my move. I ought to get money for y'all, let him use it.
Yeah.
He didn't want to say that.
Yeah.
You know, fuck y'all, fuck off. Excuse my language. But that's how stupid our business was. Don't hate nobody. But look at Eric Bischoff. He had a big meeting one night, and the meeting was about, he went to court and won where Kevin Nash and Scott Hall could come in from WWE. He beat Vince, but they couldn't use their names up there.
Right.
And I'm thinking, and to myself, and I'm not ashamed to say this, I'm thinking, who did you blow to get your job?
Exactly.
What in the hell? What are you doing? So now, dude, when you got millions and millions and millions of dollars to advertise your show, if it don't sell out, something's wrong.
Right. If
you don't have ratings that are up at 6 or 7, something's wrong. And at that time, the biggest ratings they had until Hogan come in was when me and Robert were on the show wrestling Ric Flair and Arn Anderson. Had 4.5 ratings every time.
Yep.
And then
Great matches.
when Hogan come in, it was Ford said because Hogan was over.
Yeah.
All right. And still couldn't get a job, you know. And then what it was, somebody asked me one time, what do you think about the WCW show? I said, did he call it the Eric Bischoff show?
Yeah.
Because I never seen a guy try to get himself over so much not to be a wrestler.
Yeah.
Or not to be this, you know.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, absolutely.
When you take a company like WCW, all right, that is big corporate worldwide business,
Mm-hmm.
and put it $600 million in a hole.
Right. That's hard to do.
Kiss my ass.
Yeah.
Kiss my ass.
Yeah.
All right. And that's what happened to it. And see, and I don't blame Kevin Nash and Scott Hall and Goldberg. And, you know, I wanted a contract. He asked me again, I said, man, can you give me a contract? Oh, we're not giving out contracts no more. Next week, they signed Bret Hart to $11 million.
Mhm.
Right. Right.
Now, listen, couldn't they give him a 11,900,000?
Right.
10 million. I mean, 10,900,000. Just give me $100,000 a year.
Right.
Couldn't even do that. But
Yeah,
the company
that's-
shut down.
Yeah.
Okay. But see, Bret Hart, Goldberg, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, they're all smart. You know, believe it or not, all these guys have got college educations. Here
Mhm.
I didn't. You know, I didn't realize how bad they screwed us on the money.
Oh,
But
yeah.
see, they signed a contract that wasn't with WCW. It was with Ted Turner
Yeah.
and Time Warner. You see what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
when it shut down, they still had to pay them guys. That's why you didn't see them for 3 years.
Yeah, they went
3 or
home.
4 years.
Yeah, they went home. They were getting paid from home.
Right.
Buddy, they went home and got $185,000 a week
Yeah.
Mhm.
for 3
Yeah.
years. And they talk about what they got and what I ain't got. Well, you kiss my ass.
Right.
You see? Kiss my ass. Yes. So all right, you got me on the road. Keep going.
All right. Okay. So, one thing that I was excited about was as a young kid, I always loved tag team wrestling. Ever since I was a kid, mid 80s, late 80s, I've been a tag team guy. I was actually excited to see you on AEW here a year or so ago. That was
Yes.
awesome. I love what they're doing with tag team wrestling right now. They're bringing it back. They're doing it so
Yes.
much better than what WWE has been. I love it. I am so excited. What are you excited about, if anything, with pro wrestling right now?
Well, that's a hard thing to answer right here. I'm excited that they hadn't forgot who we are. still get
Right, that's
paid
good.
every now and then. No,
Yeah.
what I want to be excited about is what I told you earlier is I would like to have a job for these big companies
Mm-hmm.
trying to educate the boys about our business and what
Right.
tag team wrestling really is. You know, in our day, even when we went out to do independent, get in the ring with these guys, what high spots you want to do? I don't do high spots. I
Right.
sell. I'll give Robert a hot tag.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I like. Now that with the tag team wrestling, I like what direction it's going in,
Mm-hmm.
but they need a lot of help. Do you hear me? They do.
Mm-hmm.
They need a lot of help getting viewers. But you know, when this pandemic is over, oh my God,
Yeah.
our world is starving for entertainment.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm in Fort Walton Beach this weekend, and here in Tennessee, you know, it's opened back up. Gosh Almighty, man, places are packed because there's nothing else to do. There's nothing else
Yeah.
to do. You know, even your festival of sports, you can't go watch it. Even concerts, I don't have no more. You have to watch
Yep.
them online. To
Yeah.
have a live event. That's what I'm excited for, is to get
Right. Yeah.
people
Yeah.
back, get this pandemic behind us.
Yeah. Get back to living
People
life.
start
Yeah.
making good decisions, not only in our business, but in Washington for everything can be good. Just make good decisions for us all.
Good. I like that answer.
Buddy. Yeah.
So Drayven and I have been talking about going to shows for months now. So we're super excited for things to start back up.
And you miss it. And let me say one thing too. It's just all the boys at WWE, the whole company, all of them, Impact. Do you know how hard it is to go and work a match with no crowd?
Oh, it's got to be horrible.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard, son of a bitch, to do that.
Yeah.
And the matches that some of these guys are given, they're really out of this world for that. Because when you're used to feeding off the crowd, it's hard to go out there and you got the boys out there cheering you on at ringside. My hat's off to them. They their ass off. So, don't get me wrong. I'm not bitter at the boys or bitter. Well, I'm really not bitter at anything. I'm just, I'm 64. I still depend on wrestling for a living.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any of you guys checked out my School of Morton show?
Hey, that's my next question. Is I
have a show that comes on YouTube Sunday.
Yeah, so I want you to be able to tell everyone. Please tell us about your wrestling school, the School of Morton, and anyone that is interested in it, where they can check you out, how they can contact you. Let them know what you want them to about the School of Morton.
Did he freeze?
He might have. Yep.
Definitely frozen.
Yep. Well, when Ricky gets back, we will ask him about the School of Morton.
There we go.
He's back.
Okay. I'm back. I got it.
All right.
I got it. I lost them somewhere. Hey, I ran out of quarters over here to put in that machine. Hey, in Japan, you got to put quarters in. All right. Go ahead, man.
Okay.
I got some quarters. Let's go.
Okay, so we're down to the last two questions. So before we close out, what I want you to talk about is your School of Morton. I want you to tell everyone what it's about, what you're interested in with your accomplishments in the School of Morton, and how they can check it out and contact you if they are interested.
Well, first of all, you go on Facebook, School of Morton. I opened my school up 8 years ago. And really, see, my school is not like, I don't bring you in there and rip you off for your money. I don't, because I have kids, I have people there. And I tell everybody this, when you walk through my door, I don't care what color, I don't care what gender, I don't give a shit. We're all the same when you walk through that door. And I don't want to hear it. I'll run your ass off if you don't. You hear me?
Yep.
If you don't agree to that, leave.
Yep.
I make guys' dreams come true. If you get a chance, guys, every Sunday at 5:05 Eastern, I have a live YouTube show that comes on live from the School of Morton. I have the production rooms. I have everything there. And it's for the independent wrestlers. If you want to come and be on my show, because I promise you this, I have a lot of friends in this business and a lot of them watch my TV show.
Good.
Because I take guys that looks like anything else other than a wrestler, and I get heat on them. I mean, I got guys there, man. The other day, I was about 2 weeks ago, I'm doing a show, and I had to go to commercial break because Mark's hit the ring.
Uh-huh.
And I had to go out and tell them to get out of the goddamn or get out of the fucking ring, man. You're messing my TV show up, you know. And I told the guys, don't beat them up. They don't, you know, because everybody come running out there. So don't do that. Let's go to commercial break. And then, you know, I had to put security stuff up and everything. But it's so good if you want to display your talent, because a lot of people watches my show, guys. A lot of big name people watches it, you know, just to see. There's nothing else to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
But it's great. We, you know, just to be a part of this and be a part of some of the young talent breaking in this business. And guys, you'd be some, if you get a chance, watch it this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. So
I'm never on it.
So
I'm never on it. I don't push myself. I don't, it's for people that are breaking into the business and people that are on the end, and you can come in because I don't pay. You know, I don't people, you know, I run a show.
Yeah.
But I don't pay you. But if you want the exposure, you want the experience,
right.
Come on in. I'm not the greatest talker in the world, but I have people there that are.
Yeah.
That will work with you interviews. You know, I have people that come in and train here that you wouldn't believe. You know, Crazy Steve pops in and out. You know, I have a lot of people come up. You know, Joe, before he died, Road Warrior, you know, Animal, you know, he come to my school, man. He, you know, he come up and hang out, and my school is out in the middle of nowhere. Even Kane, you know, Kane, he's Knoxville.
Yep.
I'm about an hour from Knoxville, out in the middle of the woods and nowhere. And he Kane come and he goes, "Hi, and the hell did you find this place? It's the Field of Dreams."
Right.
Yes, it is. I love my school. I take time. And it's not about that. Even my younger students, because I didn't, and I'm not, you know, looking for sympathy. If you want sympathy, look in the dictionary between shit and syphilis, you'll find it. But it's to make good decision, to understand. Even my kids, if you don't make grades, you don't get trained.
Right.
Okay. And they do. I have a guy named Jungle Boy. You know, you see the Jungle Boy on AEW?
Yeah.
I have the real one. He started with me when he was 7 years old, and he's 14. And I wish that I could get him booked somewhere, but he's 14.
Right. Yeah.
He's phenomenal. He's absolutely wonderful. And I have a lot of kids like that. I have my girls, Raleigh Rocket, which she's at TNA right now. She's trying out for them. And it's good to have experience it. And plus them coming there, the boys, they never know who's going to show up. You know, I have a lot of people show up. I run a show every Sunday, but and I just now opened it back up to the public. It ain't $5 a ticket.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you come in and enjoy yourself, but I'll never run the TV show because it's not about me.
Right. Yeah.
It's about everybody else. So check it out, guys. It's Facebook, School of Morton.
All right. Well, that was awesome.
He wasn't wrong. He went on tangents. That was for sure.
He did.
I'm not even sure if he even answered the one question or not, but
yeah. But I mean, he did a great job because we had almost 20 questions, but with his tangents, he answered every single one except for 2, which is pretty damn good because I think I only verbally asked 3 questions. So with his
I think it was
going
4,
out on the limbs, yeah, he did a great job. And one of them was the last one was, if someone's watching this podcast now and they've never watched a Ricky Morton or Rock and Roll Express match,
right,
which match does he think they should go and watch? So that was like the big ending that I had, which he wasn't able to answer. But I mean, for me, you can just go on YouTube and type in the scaffold matches. Those are phenomenal. But right off the top, just to show, he mainly touched on 2 important points: the art of selling and ring psychology. You watch any of the matches between him and Ric Flair, you will see ring psychology, you will see selling. 2 lost starts. And you can watch any of the matches. I've never seen a match between those 2 that you would ever deem average. Always phenomenal in the ring.
Yeah, well, I tell you, he did say the one thing whenever he started talking about Ric Flair. He says, everybody's got an opinion, and opinions are like assholes.
Yep,
Everybody's
everyone's
got
got
one.
one. Yep.
And he said Ric Flair is the greatest of all time, and I was like, that's not really an opinion. I mean,
Yeah, that's factual. Yeah.
All right, guys, just to reiterate, you can find School of Morton on Facebook and YouTube, and we'll go ahead and post those links down in the description below. And with that out of the way, take us home, Sledgehammer.
Fantastic. We talk professional wrestling, past, present, and future. Today, we got a chance to speak with WWE Hall of Famer, NWA Hall of Famer, multi-time tag team champion. Seriously, guys, we're talking like 130, 140 championships. And one half of the Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you like what you're watching on YouTube, leave us a like, drop us a comment, and subscribe. Ring the bell. Ringing the bell is the important part. And we want to thank you. We want to thank everyone for tuning in to this week's episode. And we will see you all next time on the fifth side of the ring.
Catch you later.